Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kilgore, and today I'll be presenting my literature review titled Integrating STEM and Technology, a review of three perspectives. This review looks at how educators and researchers are working to better connect science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We know that as STEM, with the realities of today's digital world. These three articles I'll be discussing each focus on a different level of education and a different aspect of integration, from middle school classrooms to higher education leadership to larger scaled frameworks to help guide technology across systems. Together, these studies paint a bigger picture of what true integration looks like when curriculum, leadership, and systems all work together. To start, here's a quick overview of the three studies I analyzed. The first is STEM, Innovation and Design, or STEM ID program. This study focuses on how middle school students connect math and science through hands-on engineering designs. The second is COVID-driven innovation in higher education, which examines how universities in Malaysia and Indonesia use leadership and technology to maintain research productivity during the pandemic. And the third one is the SETI framework, which is technology integration in the digital age, which expands on how we think about technology in use in classrooms by adding a system-level perspective. What ties all three of these together is the idea of successful integration doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when curriculum, leadership, and social systems align. Connecting math and science, the STEM ID. The first study was by Kilgore and colleagues, which looks at the STEM ID program, which was designed to help middle school students apply math and science in a real-world context through engineering and design. The program runs across 3 years with themes like carnival design, aviation, and robotics. Students collect data, analyze it, and use it to design and build projects. They even use professional tools like computer-aided design software and 3D printers. What's powerful here is that the research showed some students who participated longer actually performed better on state math and science assessments and reported higher interest in STEM careers. Teachers noticed the strongest connections happened when students measured, analyzed data, and worked with the concepts like force and motion. However, they still found gaps, especially in measurement skills, so teachers, scaffolding, and training were still essential. The main takeaway is that when students solve real-world engineering problems, they see how math and science truly connect and the relevance and keep them engaged. Leadership and technology during the pandemic. The second study was by Permano and colleagues, focused on higher education during the COVID pandemic and how leadership and digital technology affected research productivity. The study involved 260 faculty members from universities, one in Malaysia and one in Indonesia. Interestingly, the results showed some national differences. In Indonesia, faculty performance was influenced more by access to and usability of digital tools, while in Malaysia, leadership qualities like clear goal setting, effective communication, and accountability had a stronger impact. What this tells us is that both technology and leadership matter, but in different ways depending on the system. Universities that maintain high performance did so because their leaders provided not just the tools, but also the direction, training, and emotional support for their faculty. The big lesson here is that technology alone isn't enough. Strong leadership creates stability during disruption. Lastly is the SETI framework by Crompton. It introduces the SETI framework, which was social, ecological, technology integration. This model goes beyond what earlier frameworks like TPAC and SAMR offered Those focus mostly on what teachers do in their own classrooms, how they blend content, pedagogy, and technology. SETI zooms out to include the multiple systems that influence teachers. They were the microsystem, the exosystem, and the macrosystem. Microsystem included students, classroom tools, and school leadership. Exosystem involves district policies, training, and funding. And the macrosystem covers national culture, infrastructure, and beliefs about technology. After COVID-19, the framework added another layer, the family system. This reflects how home environments affect online learning. The core message is that effective technology integration depends on coordination across all of these systems. It's not just the teacher's responsibility, it's shared among leaders, policymakers, families, and communities. The common threads and implications. When we look across all three studies, several common themes stand out. First, integration succeeds when curriculum, leadership, and systems align. STEM ID showed us that integrated problem-based learning works best when teacher preparation and local support. Second, leadership is absolutely central when it is a principal, whether it's a principal or a university dean. Success depends on leaders who communicate well, provide training, and set clear expectations. Third, the beliefs and cultures play a huge role. Teachers, students, and even parents bring different attitudes about technology. Positive beliefs, strong training, and respect for local context all matter. And finally, the integration is a collective effort. It's not just about teachers using tech. It's about administrators, districts, and families creating the conditions where innovation can thrive. The implication for practice is clear. We need ongoing professional development, rational leadership, and community-wide support if we want integration to stick. To conclude, all three of these, they send a unified message about what makes integration successful. First, the curriculum programs, STEM, like STEM ID, show that when students apply math and science to real-world design problems, learning becomes more relevant and meaningful. Secondly, leadership, the higher education study demonstrated that during times of disruption, such as COVID-19 or the pandemic, leaders who provided clarity, communication, and emotional support helped their infrastructure stay productive. Third, systems. The SETI framework reminds us that technology integration doesn't happen in isolation. It depends on the combined efforts of teachers, administrators, policymakers, and even families. When these three elements, curriculum, leadership, and systems, are aligned, integration becomes much more than a strategy. It becomes a culture that empowers both teachers and students to learn, create, and innovate together. These are the references that I use for this literature review. Together, they represent three very different educational contexts, but one clear message where curriculum, leadership, and systems align. Meaningful STEM and technology integration becomes possible.